It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gager.
All right, episode 39 of Two Guys and a Goalie. Thank you very much for downloading, listening. If you're watching on the live stream, thank you for doing that as well. Two Guys and a Goalie presented to you by Oddshark. Visit them at oddshark.com for all your sports betting needs. Also by Popeyes, legendary Louisiana chicken and sport clip haircuts. We'll play Keep It or Clip It a little bit later on. It's Dustin Nielsen, Joaquin Gager, Matt Cassian, our shitty producer, Hernan Salas, and joined in studio by Craig MacTavish, longtime National Hockey Leaguer, head coach, general manager, and I think we convinced him to come here because he coached Gager at one point. Is that right, Mac T?
It didn't hurt, that's for sure.
What was that? Coaching Gager didn't hurt, or did it hurt a little bit?
Having Coach Gager didn't hurt. Me being here, and of course, working with you at the Spengler Cup
that was fun.
didn't hurt. And I remember seeing Matt too back when he played in Kamloops. Remember
when he was intimidating the Western League?
Yeah, Devin Dubnyk was there. So we were up watching Devin, and I saw Matt play a few times too, and have subsequently ran into Matt many times at Oiler alumni events and so forth. So happy to be here.
How's the last month been? I haven't seen you since Davos, and you had a pretty dominant team at the old Spengler this year, didn't you? Holy smokes.
Yeah, somebody told me that they were good enough to overcome poor coaching, So, anyways, it was a great experience over there. But since then, I traveled a bit. I stayed in Switzerland for a little bit, traveled around, took the train around with my son and I. Had a pretty good time there, and just kind of been a few vacations and watching the Oilers and living a pretty good life.
Yeah,
right
I was
now.
going to say, taking it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds
like Gager.
You're welcome.
Kind of like Gager, that's right. Gager, you talked in the past about playing for Mac T. Tell him what you.
I was going to tell this. What about the story Gager had?
I was going to say.
We're not allowed to repeat that
we can
story.
repeat that story.
No,
you're already in trouble about that story anyway.
No.
If it's embarrassing to me in any way,
No,
it's not embarrassing to you.
I can do that on my own without any help from you guys.
No, it was because I'd invited. It was. How do I say this?
Just go for it.
Don't do it, Gager.
It was. Do
you want me to pretend I was you and then I'll take the heat?
It was wife appreciation night, and I invited someone, and they got ushered into the room with all the wives. And I the next day we had practice at the mall, and I was avoiding you on the ice because. Yeah, I thought you were going to kill me.
Was my wife, was it?
No, not at all. But it's a good story. But I got a lot of trouble for that one.
I believe the phrase was they had headbands for miniskirts.
Well, the episode was named that. Yeah, headbands for miniskirts. The girls are wearing headbands for miniskirts.
Hindsight's always 20/20 on how to describe a story. I think it got a little bit away from me, that one. But thank you, Craig, for. I didn't get sent to the minors too quickly after that. It was subsequently a few weeks after.
It's not the first time that's happened in my coaching career, Gager.
Okay, good.
Gager's told us that a number of times, Craig, coaches always said that he was good in the room. Can you confirm that for us? Was Gager a good room guy?
You know him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
He brings a lot of energy. He doesn't have too many bad days. And always adds... I'd say quite a bit to the emotional level of the team wherever he goes. He's been a lot of places too, so you have a lot of. I think I was looking up Gager. I was kind of wondering how many teams he played on, but the funny thing to me was he played in 11 leagues. That's hard to do.
Pretty good. I became an international man of mystery.
That's basically what it was. But with that being said, you didn't win the MVP in one of them.
Well, that's the next year. You really missed out. I probably could have done a lot better if I stayed with the Oilers because I won the Hart in the English Super League. But I remember coming back after that, and I went in the room and saw the guys from the year before, and I have the laugh that I have. It's quite loud and boisterous when it gets going.
Yeah, we've learned that.
And so coach came around the corner and he knew Gager. Like he didn't even see me, but he knew the laugh, and he goes. And you walk past me, go, good to hear that laugh again, and then walked away.
You're not staying, are you?
That's what I figured.
We don't have you again, do we?
Oh, God.
You know that story you tell Gager about how when you're introduced in the crowd and those fans were like, oh, not this guy again.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't Mac T?
No. I heard that when he announced the starting lineup in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
But no, he always said, I remember when the start of that year, and we had Tommy Salo, who was arguably at that point one of the top 5 goalies in the league. And you said, how do I take out my best player, right? So, and I said, yeah, I guess that's going to be tough. And but you were always good to me. It was a pleasure to coach with you. I don't know if you realized, like, I never felt that angst, because we had 5 black players on our team. Like, I think you're the only coach to have 5 players of color playing for you. And there was
George, Brownie.
Well, Brownie and I are half, so maybe it's 4.
Yeah.
So
George.
but Greersy, Anson Carter.
Anson, yeah.
So there was it was a really cool atmosphere, and you never felt like there was any sort of racism or anything. Did you ever think about it when you were coaching us that you had?
Never.
Yeah.
No,
Didn't even cross
never
your
at all.
mind? Yeah.
No. We live in Canada.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess racism exists here, but it's not very evident in my social circles, that's for sure,
no.
professional circles.
Yeah, I don't really see it a lot.
It was looking back at it now and maybe being more aware of it with what's going on in the landscape today. I thank you for making the dressing room and a place comfortable for a guy like me to perform.
Pleasure, Gager, absolute pleasure.
Was that
Thank
one of
you.
your things, Mac T? Like just overall, having the dressing room being a comfortable place for everybody? Like, is that how you would approach it when you'd have a
Well,
team?
I'd say that's critical to having the players, perform at a high level. I think that it's a fine line if you're losing, but you got to have emotion, you got to have energy in the room, and if the coach is really responsible for setting. I always felt that way when I played for Glenn, that the coach would be responsible for setting the mood in the room. So you'd come in the morning after a loss, and if the coach is angry, and then the energy just goes down. And there are obviously things that you can't tolerate as a coach, whether it's misexecution, constant misexecution, or a lack of effort, things that you can control as a player. But as long as you were controlling those controllable things, then I thought you should be able to come and feel comfortable in the room and bring some energy. And if you don't have energy when you're walking out of that dressing room, you don't have a chance. And, when your team's inspired and is going out feeling good about themselves, your chances to win go way up.
Cass, for you, do you have any rooms that there wasn't a good vibe in before you guys would go out?
Yeah, well, the last year for me in Ottawa, because we were
tough year.
We were horrible. We were horrible, and there was a lot of internal conflict within the team, and I think the leadership group and the coaching staff were having some issues as well. So you just felt tense all the time, and that doesn't lead itself, I think, to being successful. The year before, where we beat Montreal in the first round of the playoffs, and we weren't.
Was that in that bloodbath? Was that?
Yeah, that was the most fun I ever had.
Yeah.
That was. We were essentially the same team, like from a talent level, from a skill level, but there was a cohesiveness and a lightness in the room, and everyone going about what they're doing, as opposed to just being tense all the time. And it is from an energy standpoint, especially being in Gager the same way, being like a higher energy guy. Where I wasn't out there scoring goals, so I had to be good in the room and to be high energy in practice and try to pick guys up and make my teammates better. It's like if the environment was oppressive, it's hard to do that. And even when you do, then it doesn't really do much.
Well, we're gonna get to coaching at some point, but we're already there, so we might as well just continue with that with Craig, and then we'll get to his playing career and stuff as well. How long did it take for you, Craig, until you felt like I got a good handle on this with coaching? Like, did it come to you naturally, or is it something that you felt you had to work at? Because obviously you had a really good 8-year run here with the Oilers.
You grow into that. I think as I've told players before, veteran players, I never knew more about the game than when I was 27 years old, because you don't know what you don't know. And so you just, I mean, to this day, I still, whenever I run into Terry Murray, I want to apologize to him. Because I went there as a veteran player. I'd won, so had a pedigree of winning. So I thought I had a pretty good idea on how things are done, and was, could criticize virtually every aspect of a team that. Except I couldn't apply the same lens to my own play. And so I'm sure Terry Murray was going, man, this guy's just not worth it, and I felt that a few times with aging veterans where their play starts to decline, but they can still poke a lot of holes in everything in the organization. But no, at 37, I knew everything, and by mid-40s, I knew less.
What was the hardest type of player, outside of Gager? What was the hardest type of player to manage? Would it be those veteran guys who think they kind of know everything, or would it be the young guys who really don't know anything?
No, I think it's a couple types of players. It's a player that's languishing far below his potential. And, we've all seen players like this that, are happy playing at a level far below their capability. And what they need to do is obvious to everybody but them. And you want to sit down in a room and have a productive conversation and set a game plan and identify what the issues are. And this is how we're going to solve these issues, whether they're execution, conditioning, attitude, lifestyle, anything like that. You want to sit down and get a game plan on how you're going to correct these things, and then the next day nothing changes, and those guys will drive you crazy. And when I was younger, they did drive me crazy because we needed them to be better, and they were okay not playing to their potential. And I think those guys really are difficult to coach, and they're guys that see a lot of different teams because they do have a high skill level. And the second would be, as you mentioned, a veteran who's had success, but so he's got a high level of expectation on what his role is going to be, but he doesn't have the ability to fulfill that role. So there's a gap there in his expectations and the ice time he's given, and then that creates a disgruntled, unhappy player. And as I said, I was one of those players, certainly at the last couple of years of my career, where you know everything about hockey, but you can't, as I said, apply that same lens to your own play. And that's virtually with every player. I mean, nobody really sees their deterioration of their ability to contribute to the success of the team.
Boys,
I saw it.
I
just watched a lot of video on it.
You did a good job hiding it, though.
I did.
Because you played.
I was going to say, how old were you, Gager, when you figured it out? Like,
I distinctly remember thinking I knew more than the coach at certain points. Yeah, that's a true feeling. God, and you're just an idiot too. What a dummy I was. But
we know that. We all know that. We're all there.
I remember that year. I think that was your first year head coach of the Oilers. I was with you, and we had Ryan Smith, Doug Waite, and Bill Guerin on a line. And I think Billy ended up getting traded. That was one of the most emotional times I had ever been on a hockey team, because we all went to Billy's house, and there were guys in tears because we lost Billy. I mean, we got a good player in Anson Carter, but let's face it, he wasn't Bill Guerin. I was always upset at that point, A, because Billy was such a good guy, but B, we had one of the top lines in the whole league, and I thought, we might lose him, but we might have beat Dallas that first round, I thought, with Billy Guerin. Did you ever have any input into? I mean, it was a different time back then. You didn't want to lose something for nothing, so I understand the trade. But how much did that affect you when we lost Billy at that point in the season? Because we were rolling.
Well, I remember the meeting I had with the players before Anson walked in the dressing room. It was at West Edmonton Mall, and tried to frame our decision on Billy's deal as best I could. We were all upset. I was upset. Billy Guerin, I mean, he had big gaps in his performance level in his game, but when he was on top of his game, he was a dominant force. And more importantly, he was a terrific guy in the room and brought a lot of energy and had just a bubbly personality. I remember one time with Billy that he played poorly in Montreal, and so I was giving it to him at the end of the game, and I said, said, you played like a rookie tonight. You know, what was wrong with you? You played like a rookie tonight. So we get on the plane, and sure enough, the plane was delayed, and we had to go back to the hotel. And I said, the veterans take the first van. And so Billy marches up and said, Mac, is it okay if I go with the veterans?
That's great.
That is great.
And, he had a way to really add great perspective and lightness to a lot of tough situations. So I was sorry to see him go, but Anson was a good player, and we were going to have him for a few years. So I could see the logic behind it, but I could see why, and that the team would be that upset losing a guy that I went through it with players too as well in my career when I played, but it was tough.
I was going to say, like, from a coaching and management perspective, was there, like, obviously his Billy Guerin story is a good one, but was there another guy that was really, I mean, players get moved all the time. It's a business, but was there one or two other ones that really stood out for you?
Well, Smitty was tough.
Yeah.
But I understood that. That came down to, to me, just a bit of principle. It wasn't about dollars because it was very close, but there was a principle there that drew a line in the sand and lost a bit of perspective on the whole thing. And I mean, that was an amazing day because that was the day we retired Mark Messier's jersey.
Oh, jeez.
And, so it was, I remember coming to the rink and, Kevin's got to go out. He's going to deliver the speech about Mark. And, he couldn't do it, not because he was afraid to go out there, but he'd be afraid of what he'd say when the fans started getting on him.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it was.
Yeah, that was horrible timing.
Horrible timing.
That's the worst timing ever.
Yeah, right at the trade deadline, we're doing that. So the fans were, they were not happy. You know what the fans are like here when they get behind a player, and deservedly so for Ryan.
Not really.
So.
No idea.
Please tell us about it.
No, I'm better in retirement. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
We all are.
Everybody excels in retirement.
Knew then.
That's good. Okay, there's so much to talk about here. I do have to get you to take us through the Harvey Hound incident. Because it's legendary. I know you were recently signing some autographs, and you're signing Harvey the Hound bobbleheads, and it stuck with you forever. So, do you have 4 hours, or what? How does this go?
Yeah. Well, you can wrap my career, 17 years of playing, and 15 years in coaching and management into 3 incidents, 3 things: no helmet, a face-off in New York, and Harvey the Hound, and that puts a bow on about 35 years of hockey.
It's funny because I got all those on the list here. So
they're all
we'll get to it.
Mac T ruined my night when he won that draw too. You're talking about the Game 7 in New York, right? Yeah, I was sitting just off Burrard with a bunch of my buddies back in the mean streets of Kitsilano, and we were all ready to whoop it up, and then Mac T goes and wins that draw, and then. I guess we still had a pretty good night, but
they ripped the town down.
Yeah.
I'm sure you weren't a part of that.
No.
We're on it now, though. So take us through those moments when you broke Gager's heart. Obviously for the first time.
It was a series that went on far longer than it should have in my mind. But the last game was really tight. We're up 3-1 going into the third period, and Vancouver scored quite early in the second, and we'd given up a lot of late 1-goal leads during the course of that playoff run, so we were all super sensitized and nervous about it. I think Martin Jelena hit the crossbar at one point, so it was hairy, and there was a lot at stake for everybody, and a lot of pressure, and it was great in New York to win the Stanley Cup. The parade was, something nobody will ever forget, and just the adulation of the fans. It was, since 1940 they won their last cup, and then 1994 they got that one. So it was amazing, really. It was quite a run, but. Kurt McLean was pretty good this year,
he was pretty good in those playoffs. Yeah. How cool was it doing with so many guys from your old teams in Edmonton? That must have been as special as it was. Like, that's got to take it to even another level.
Well, it made the transition over there a lot easier. There was, I knew half the team intimately.
You played like more games in the playoffs than you did in the regular season, right? Like, so you
with them, I
so
came right at the deadline.
Yeah.
From here to Calgary, and then our next game was in Edmonton. So it was a weird scenario. I remember Glenn asked me if I wanted to get traded, and I said yeah, because I wanted to go somewhere and play in the playoffs. And he said, well, where would you like to go? Who do you think has the best chance? I said, Detroit. And so he traded me to New York. He always was a bit sharper than I was, maybe quite a bit sharper. But it worked out great. It was good to connect with, obviously, all the guys that we'd had success with in the past.
How different was that group compared to when you guys were here? Because you guys had all, you already won things. You changed the scenery, veteran guys. You're trying to prove that you could do it somewhere else.
Everybody played a similar role, the guys that we had. I mean, we had Richter was phenomenal in the net, too. We'd always had great goaltending here, so that was the same. Brian Leach, Sergei Zubov were unbelievable on the power play. And, Mike Keenan and Neil Smith did a good job bolstering the last half of the forward lineup at the trade deadline. So it helped, and we almost lost to New Jersey. We were down.
Yeah, that was legendary.
3-2 to them, and Mess got the hat trick, and then we won the next game in overtime with Stephane Matteau. We just had the 25th anniversary last year, and went back to New York. Was good to see everybody, but the amazing thing to me too were all the wives were still in place. There might have been one divorce, but
the rest of the group's still together.
That's pretty good. That's really good.
See, honey, there's hope.
I was happy to see that, and happy to see all the ladies.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cass, how old were you in '94? You must have been. Were you like
8?
You were 8, so you don't remember. You don't remember that one.
No, I
too.
remember.
Do you remember that one?
I remember that one. Yeah, I started remembering probably about when I was 6 or 7.
Okay.
I started remembering the hockey games and the cups. So
yeah,
I remember that one.
I was in BC. Well, I was in Cranbrook at the time, and I would have been 12, 13. And the whole province was Canuck crazy. And I wasn't even a Canucks fan, but we were all just going absolutely bonkers for the Canucks. So that was a heartbreaker, especially with Pavel Bure, because he was unbelievable. What was it like playing against that guy, especially in the role that you would play?
He had speed like Connor.
Oh, it was that level, right?
Yeah,
we always talk about those two together.
Those two. Amazing quickness, acceleration, and top end.
So you just try to take him down, or what? What are you supposed to do in that situation?
Just retreat to the crease, and he can't beat you wide at that point.
Everybody to the front of the net.
Yeah.
Right now. Okay, so that was one of you. You mentioned the three things in your career, so we'll just run with that. So the Harvey the Hound one.
Harvey was
just a moment, just one moment. You kind of turn around and like boom, or were you thinking about it?
He was taunting us on the bench, and we were down 3 goals at the time, and I wasn't happy. And that stuff shouldn't happen in the game. You shouldn't have to deal with that. And he was on the bench, and then he got over the glass, and I went to grab one of the sticks because I was going to wrap his knuckles.
On the glass? Yeah. That would have been good.
It was because that's our territory. You come in there, it's dangerous for any dog. But Kenny Lowe wouldn't give me the stick. He grabbed the stick.
Not happening.
The stick. He's not giving me that stick. So I grabbed the tongue and gave his head a yank, and out came the tongue.
Was it a good pull, or did it come out pretty easy?
It came out pretty easy. Yeah, it wasn't.
So he's a fraud.
Kevin Lowe told me after the game. He said you should have because I just kind of waved it and threw it back. He said you should have rolled it up and put it in your lapel pocket.
That would have been a boss move.
That would have been awesome.
Sure. But we were at a dinner, charity dinner, maybe a week later, and I signed a tongue, and somebody bid, like the bidding got crazy for it. Like it was 25,000, 30,000.
What?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I don't know who did it or who bought it, but there were a few people that wanted it.
Did you ever meet the guy that was in the suit?
No.
Well, that's a good question, Cass.
No, I never did meet him.
Well, you would have thought there would have been, picture
like,
opportunity somewhere
what
there.
that
Yeah.
would have been like.
Yeah.
Well, I was there one time, and Ken King said, I'll give you 10 grand right now to walk around the concourse with Harvey the Hound.
You know what? I bet Harvey was probably like a 16-year-old girl.
That's what it was. Ran away crying immediately. That's not good
A
luck.
16-year-old girl would have way more sense than what that.
Actually, it was Brent Gogol coached me. Do you remember Brent?
I know the name.
You know
yeah.
the name. He played a couple games, but he coached me in minor hockey. He played a little bit for the Flames. He was with the New Westminster Bruins back when it was just crazy. And he told a story about punching a mascot that ended up being a 16-year-old girl.
What?
He said his fist sunk in like a foot and a half, like into the thing's head.
Oh, no.
Dropped it and ended up being like a girl.
Jeez.
No.
That is brutal. Gager, you got a mascot story? I feel like you have some sort of weird mascot story.
I'm not going there, Dusty. No, I'm not. But one thing, Coach got fired up. I remember it was probably the best game I had ever been a part of. I was on the bench, obviously, but we were playing the Colorado Avalanche, and it was an unbelievable hockey game. Because a lot of times I would think, I got to be ready. I actually caught myself just watching this game. It was right after Christmas we were playing. And I think it was 2-2, and it was just back and forth. It was unbelievable. And then Hartley started rolling Forsberg and Sakic, and they got on the power play. They scored 2 more goals, but they just took the game over for like 2.5 minutes, and they won the game. But I remember at the end of the game, because we got a penalty, and they were going to win. It was 4-2, and Hartley throws out Forsberg, Sakic with him, and you went absolutely bonkers and were yelling at Hartley.
Was that in Colorado?
In Colorado, yeah. And that was the only time I thought, oh my God, I'm going to see a coach actually go over there and fight the other coach. Did you ever have any altercations like behind with guys? I know I didn't like Hartley.
No, not really.
No?
Hartley would be the one guy at that point that back in those days, you hated everybody on the opposition. Now, as a player, I hated running into the opposition anywhere. Now they all know each other. They're all business partners, and you can see that. But as coaches, we're like 2 male dogs passing each other on the street. You don't like them that much. But I got fined that game for that.
Did you?
Yeah, because I didn't trust him. I didn't know who he was going to put out. Like, he had a history of putting out Parker and guys like that in that situation. So I put out George Larocque to kill the penalty. Yeah. And because I didn't know what he was going to do, and I had to change first.
Yeah.
So they talked to me about inciting.
Oh, is that what they came
like
to?
That. Yeah.
That's what happens when you put George on the PK.
So I got a conditional fine that I ended up having to pay down the road on another incident, but it was they weren't too happy. But thankfully, I had played George one other time in a penalty kill situation, so I could point to that.
So there's precedent.
I have played him in the penalty kill. Actually, he's actually quite good at it.
Yeah.
But I did, and
That was great.
The other one you mentioned was the helmet. You've obviously talked and been asked about this a ton, so we'll do it as well. Did you ever consider? Did you try to practice a few times?
I put one on in '87 for the year. And the first game I put it on was a regular season game, and I remember you release a lot of your body heat through your head. And I was overheating on the bench and throwing up behind the bench, and Sparky was with me going, "Oh, what do you put a helmet on for?"
Yeah.
But that was really, I wore it the whole year, and then for whatever reason, the next year I took it back off. But when I got to Boston, nobody had a helmet on.
Yeah.
It was a veteran team. I played with guys like Jerry Cheevers and Peter McNabb, Terry O'Reilly, Brad Park, all those old Wayne Cashman. So they never wore a helmet. Nobody wore one in that era in practice, so you just kind of bit of peer pressure and you take it off.
Speaking of your time in Boston, it was recently brought to my attention that you were there in the game with Milbury into the stands with the shoe.
Yeah.
Were you in the stands as well?
Yeah.
Were you quick to go up there, or were you like, oh man, I can't do this?
I saw the whole thing. I was one of the few guys that saw the whole thing.
Really?
Because it was an unbelievable hockey game. Madison Square Gardens. Al Secord was on Ulf Nielsen and Anders Hedberg, the Swedes, all game long. Terrific hockey game. Came down last 20 seconds of the game. Phil Esposito had a breakaway on Jerry Cheevers. We're up by 1. Jerry Cheevers makes the save. Great drama. Everybody floods out on the ice, and Al's still giving it to the so both teams are mulling around. It's going to get maybe ugly. And I look up, and that's back when the glass was quite short. And this guy came down the stairs. I watched him, and he leaned over the glass, and he just suckered Stan Jonathan in the face.
Ooh, geez, of all guys,
and
too.
I'm going, Stan's going to lose it. And but Stan, credit to him, he didn't do anything. He just kind of shook it off. You could never hurt him. And he shook it off. But Terry O'Reilly looked, and he was like Spider-Man on the glass, and he was over the glass in seconds. So everybody goes over, and I had the guy that actually threw the punch because I knew.
You knew who it was. You saw it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I had him down, and I mean, I'm a passive guy, but I gave him a few shots just to catch his attention. But yeah, the next day the papers had a picture of like 7 of us. And they said in the picture, don't smile. Like it was like a mug shot on the front page of the Boston Herald. And ironically, in the playoffs that year, the guy had the audacity to come to Long Island to serve the warrant. He had to serve the warrant physically to one of the players. And Harry Sindon's outside of the bus, and he goes, they're all on the bus. Go on the bus and give him the warrant. Help yourself. And I don't think I'll go on.
He wants to come on the bus. There's no way.
So he was. You're bringing back a lot of memories.
Oh man, that's a legendary. It's like
awesome.
that's one of the most memorable moments in hockey. I mean, for the wrong reasons, but that was insane. Well, Cass, you're loving it over there. Or what?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love skill in the game. I do. I love the speed, but as we know, at times I feel it's less exciting because there's less drama. As you said, Craig, there's less or maybe now there's less emotion because before it's like you wouldn't even talk to guys on the other team, where now everyone's buddy all the time. I was gonna just ask, through your transition from being player into coaching and management, where did you really first start to see that shift happen? Move away from it's just a physical game where everyone hates each other to more of the skill game where everyone's buddy.
Labor disagreements with the league. Yeah, for sure. Gets everybody together. I mean, as a player, I was part of a few. One in 94 that shut the league down for half the year that year. And you're meeting with players. You're at, you're all going to one city. You get to know each other, and that's where it starts. So I think it's and then there's been more labor strife, or had been. So I think that's kind of where it starts. And we're face it, we're in a less violent society now,
yes,
thankfully, than what we were back then. And but you're right. I like the hard, heavy hockey too, and the drama. And I mean, you look at the games that we had against Calgary here a few weeks ago. Like everybody absolutely loved it. Sorry, boys.
That's all right.
Everybody absolutely
It's
loved it.
$100 fine.
It was when I was coaching. No, it's.
Did that get your blood boiling too, though? Like that Battle of Alberta, you get pretty fired up watching it. It was great.
It was great. It really was. Yeah, it was fantastic, and everybody answered the bells, and the bell that we all knew when we played back in the most memorable meetings we ever had as a team were always in the Calgary Flame dressing room. And, it was great. And I think it had a huge impact on our team this year, just finding a higher emotional level to play the game. And this is what it takes to meet your maximum potential. And that's where you have to get it. And I've always said that, really all the productivity is in the last, 5% of effort and intensity.
Greg, do you feel that teams need to have like a galvanizing moment like that, whether it's something like emotional like the Battle of Alberta and a whole bunch of fights, or whether it just be like a big come from behind win, or maybe like a big loss and then the team responds? Do you feel that teams that have those specific moments over the course of a season and then really capitalize on them have a better chance at success than someone that doesn't?
Well, you have a reference point that you can draw from in critical times. And I think especially for teams that don't have a history of winning, that those moments that we had a couple of weeks ago against Calgary, I think that's really going to help us. And we're seeing signs of that now, and it certainly helps. It gives you a greater perspective when you deal with adversity, on whether it's individual adversity or collective adversity.
Even with Connor being out, I think this is another type of moment where they can rally around not having their leader with them too, right? If they can,
that could be a big moment too, right?
Yeah, a big road trip. They come back. They do it without Connor. I think it's another type of moment that, like you say, they can draw on, especially when it counts when playoff time. Maybe there's a lot of bumps and bruises through that whole grind.
Well, I remember another story, just to highlight my level of idiocy back in those days, that so we were rolling along and Mark got hurt, and it was quite an extensive injury. And so the first game we played at home, we mopped somebody up. And so I remember in the shower with him saying, "Oh, we really missed you tonight." 10 games later, we hadn't won a game, and he hadn't practiced, and Glenn flew him into Montreal, and he dressed for the game and was the first star. We won the hockey game. So that's those are, you don't mess with the hockey gods and say stupid stuff like that. The other game that I blame myself for losing was when we blew that 3-goal lead in Anaheim.
Oh.
And so we're up in the press box, and and we're having our meetings, our scouting meetings in Palm Springs. So we drove down for the game. So I would never do this, but I'm going, there's like 3 minutes left, and I'm going to go to the bathroom here in the press box so we can get out of here right away. You never do that. I know that. By the time I got to the bathroom door, it was
scored.
Goal. Oh. By the time I flushed the toilet, another one.
Oh, no.
And so I get back to my seat, and they tie it. And Keith Gretzky is just staring at me. He's going, "What are you doing?" So I blame myself for that. So this year I'm over in Russia, and I get a text from Keith, and it's just a picture of a door. And he's going, "Remember this?" And I'm going, "What the hell is this?" And it dawned on me it was a bathroom door in Anaheim's restaurant.
Hey, remember this? Remember what you cost? Well, it's good that we can put the blame somewhere for that 3 goals.
Well, it was surely on me.
Yeah.
And, that was stupid.
So coaching in Russia, that probably was a massive different experience for you. I think you had Mike Polino with you?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
He was my assistant coach on Team Canada. Great guy.
Yeah.
But what was your thinking? Do you still want to get back to the NHL and coach someday, or?
Not. I think the path for me back to the NHL is fairly long right now. But,
hey, you are sitting here with us.
Yeah. Exactly. Just can't be doing anything for my resume.
But you just love coaching, right? Like that's why you wanted to go.
I did, and I enjoyed the Spengler, and I really enjoyed the coaching in Russia too as well. It was a great experience, and I had one tough guy to deal with that was completely result oriented, didn't acknowledge progress or process or anything like that. If you lost, you were in trouble, and I knew it going in. And but
you weren't like 0-8, were you? Like it was.
no,
You were.
no, we
you had a
lost the
decent
first
record, like,
2, and then we won 3 out of 4, and then we lost a game that we played great and shouldn't have lost, and then we lost the next one, and that was it. Yeah, but anyways, I knew that going in, but great experience. I really enjoyed working with the Russian players. I had Denis Grebeshkov as my interpreter, who's a super sharp guy, and I coached him over here for 4 or 5 years. So he knew what I was talking about, and he's a sharper guy, and it was good. Mike Polino was great. He and I spent every day together and ate every meal together, and he was he's the coach there now. The guy they fired me and replaced me with, they fired him, and Mike's in there and is doing a good job.
Wait, the guy that replaced you has already been fired?
Yeah.
And then they brought him to the third coach this season.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! So that's not a long-term gig then over there.
No.
But Mike's been coaching there for the same place for years, hasn't he?
No, he coached with Bob Hartley last year in Omps.
Oh.
And they went to the finals, and then he ended up with me. Thankfully, he was great to have there.
I don't like that hardly. Ugh.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
he's mellowed over the years.
Is he mellowed?
Yeah,
even a couple of years ago.
I think.
So when I was in my
he's fine.
Last PTO with Arizona, and we had the the Hockeyville game in Red Deer, and so we were at the rink before, so we got to see the pregame skate for the Flames, and I remember just watching this pregame skate, going like, how are these guys going to have any energy tonight? It was like full ice drills, up and down the ice, up and down the ice, up and down the ice, up and down the ice.
In the pregame?
In the pregame. And
like morning skate?
Morning skate, and guys that you knew were going to be playing, that were scheduled to play that game. And I was just like, whoa, that would not be fun for a guy that gets healthy scratched all the time. Like me, because that's just the start. And like during the season, if the pregame skates are like that, then
for the guys that are playing,
like how bad is this going to be for the guys that aren't playing? I was like, oh man, I would not.
Was Hartley the guy we talked about in an episode who had his trainer crawl through the? Was that Hartley?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah. So like coaches would go to like. What was the craziest thing you did to get an advantage as a coach? Like, was there anything that you ever did that you're like, because what was you said you're trying to get the curve on the stick, right?
Hartley had the trainer crawl through the vent ducts and measure
to hop
sticks.
into the room, and measure the sticks. Yeah. You never did anything like that, right, Macty? You weren't. Nobody's going to call and say, "Hey, Craig's stuck in the vents again."
Sparky can't fit in those things.
It would have been Roscoe.
Oh, Roscoe, maybe Roscoe. Yeah.
Bless his soul.
Yeah. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
At what point in 06 did you know that you guys had something special going? Was there one moment, or was there just kind of an accumulation?
I knew we were good.
Yeah.
But we lacked goaltending through most of it.
Well, you got rid of me.
Yeah.
It worked out for you, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it tightened our game up for sure. And then we got Roley. There was one game I think we played Colorado that we played really well. I thought we got some. And, I just kind of took for granted the character of the people that we had on that team, just figuring that, because that's kind of what I was used to. Always played on pretty character-driven teams, and, but then you go on and you go to other situations with other players, and you really respect the level of compete and character that we had on that team with guys like, as you mentioned, Mike Greer and Todd Marchand and Ethan Morrow and Todd Harvey and Matt Green. And
effort
Jared
was
Stoll.
Never an issue with that group,
no,
right?
No,
they had a pretty good D-man too, I think. Chris.
Yeah.
Pretty easy throwing him over the boards for a playoff series, I think.
He taught me a lot about how to play defense, let me tell you. And I played with him in St. Louis for a year and a half.
Okay.
So I mean, he was a temperamental guy at times, and I remember when I played with him, I'd keep a list of Pronger complaints, and then at the end of the week, I'd show him, Jacques Cron, what's he doing on this plane? Well, he's the GM, Chris. and these flight attendants are horrible. These chicken wings taste terrible. So I'd have 30 or 40 things documented at the end of the week to talk to him about. But man, he was a great leader and classy guy, and really brought a level of professionalism to the game and to the dressing room that was inspiring to all his teammates.
What was it like? Like what's going through your head when Rolly gets hurt? Like as a coach, you just like there's got to be like some sort of level of disappointment, at least for a little bit, right?
Yeah. I'm just a pragmatic guy. You know, like it's disappointing, but bad things happen in hockey at times.
Yeah.
And he was the best player in every series prior to that. You know, he was just amazing how well he played, especially against Detroit. Very disappointed. But it was an opportunity. Markkanen played good. I mean, he didn't play at Rolly's level. He wasn't the best player on both teams in that series like Rolly was the previous three, but he played as good as Cam Ward. And
you still went the distance, right? It's not like all of a sudden.
He played great. He really stepped up and played well. And game 6 here, we played so well. Like, they didn't touch the puck. They had no chance. We just steamrolled them from start to finish. Normally there are gaps and lags in the game, but there wasn't. We just took the game to them from first minute to the last minute and just crushed them. And I'm going by and I can hear Peter Laviolette giving it to the team. And I'm going, man, this is period 1 of game 7. It's just going to be period 4 of game 6, and it wasn't. And we were satisfied, with the way. How couldn't you be? But there should have been something I found to just prop them a little bit. I think in hindsight, might have helped us because we went out and their game elevated and our game maybe dropped a bit, and that was enough to turn it. And they played a great game in Game 7, and we just weren't able to sustain the level of pressure that we had in Game 6.
You can feel free to leave me off this list, Coach. But who was the best goalie playing with or coaching with that you had? Do you think? I know Rolly's up there, but
I'm going to say Pete Peters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. He was amazing that year I played with him in Boston. He went like 35 games without a loss.
Oh, Jesus.
And we were in Buffalo, and Buffalo was good there. And the coach was Jerry Cheevers, and he was going to break Cheevers' record. And he didn't. But Cheesy played him in back-to-back games against a very tough opponent. To make
You want to break the record? Go earn it.
But he was right up there. Bill Ranford, certainly the year he won the Conn Smythe was unreal. Fierzy was Fierzy. I'd say those three. Tommy Salo in his
really.
Tommy Salo in his heyday was awful good too.
Yeah.
For a lot of it, but those three. People forget about Pete Peters.
Yeah.
Like he finished second to Wayne Gretzky in the Hart Trophy.
In the Hart Trophy voting?
Yes. Yeah,
oh, I didn't remember
year.
that. That was before my age.
And
yeah.
he lives just outside of Edmonton.
Yeah, he's
Nobody
local
even
guy.
knows he played, especially the guys in his neighborhood out there. He's on a farm out there.
Yeah, he's still really strong too. I didn't like because he started. He became the goalie coach. He made me do those 500-calorie rides in 20 minutes all the time after practice.
Yeah,
and he would do them beside.
Those were
me.
hard.
I remember
those were really hard.
Yeah, he was our goalie coach in Kamloops for a little bit.
Yeah.
First it was Billy was for a year or two, and then the last year was Pete, and he made the goalies. I remember him making the goalies do those 500 calorie rides.
You got to burn 500 calories in
under
220.
20 minutes.
Yeah, that was my ride.
Yeah,
I figured that. I had the team do that, and it was like a mental toughness, endurance. And so I remember Stevie Stais coming to me and goes, why are we doing this? What benefit does this have to us? And I said, what about mental toughness, Stevie? And he went, oh, okay, yeah, I got it.
I get it now.
Todd Marchand, there's no handicap for small guys. We're pushing the same load. There's no handicap out there on the ice either.
The best guy at it was Frank Musial. He would do it in like 16 minutes or 17 minutes.
Hork too. Hork would.
Yeah, he'd pound it.
They just put it on maximum and
just go.
Yeah, they were fit.
Jeez, Cass, you had to do that? You're doing it
I
for a
did
bit?
one or two.
Yeah, that was it.
But you know what? They weren't as bad because I'm a big guy, so on the bike it's a little bit easier.
You got the
know,
legs?
because it doesn't get adjusted like the Wingate and the
Yeah.
VO2 and all those. I always finished middle of the pack, and I'd be like on the stupid bike for longer, like pushing out more than everyone else. But because you're big, it handicaps you. But on those ones, I wasn't at least, so I was pretty good at those.
The best was, God, I wish that we had phones back then, but to see George's face when he was doing this thing, oh my gosh.
Like
It
just
was-
angry, or?
Oh, just priceless, just almost in tears, crying.
Yeah,
he would just fall off right after too.
He was a source. I got to give him credit. Like, he was a source of a lot of energy
Yeah.
in that room. I remember the time we had Danny Cleary and George. And maybe you weren't there. It was in Phoenix. We had a race.
Oh,
And they were, I can beat you in a race. No, you can't. Okay, I'm going, well, let's do it in Phoenix. And when we're out in Phoenix at our golf outing. So we had all the players were betting on, we had pari-mutuel betting. And George just blew Danny away. And,
Really?
yeah, because George, he was strong and he was pretty fast. But it was a great time. And so Danny, he was, humiliated. And he's going, let's do it again. I'm going, no, Danny, no. He was a great guy to coach too. Danny Cleary was awesome.
Oh, he was my roommate. I loved
Yeah.
Danny. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got along great.
Good roommate?
Oh, the best.
Yeah.
He had the dry skin though. So
Oh, the worst.
yeah, so he had this little purple brush that was his scratcher. So
For his skin?
yeah, so he'd be laying in bed and he'd be scratching all the time. And I remember Brad Norton went and we found this another purple brush that looked exactly like it. So we hid Danny's actual brush and then we threw the purple one in the toilet. So Danny was chasing Norts all around because he thought he threw his scratching device in the toilet.
That's
but
good.
then we
That is
pulled
a
it
good
out.
one.
Who was your favorite roommate along the way, MacT?
Oh, I had a lot. I roomed with Billy Ranford for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Gager,
Kelly,
did you
me
room with
too.
Billy? Yeah,
Me
you guys
too.
both roomed with
Yeah.
Billy then. Yeah.
Bucky,
Oh, Bucky, jeez.
Craig Simpson. I know the players today, they don't have roommates. I don't think, Gager.
Yeah, no.
I think
It was all kind of fun.
we lost that.
Chimmer told, yeah.
Yeah, Chimera was talking
We
about it.
lost
That's
that.
right.
I actually think that's a detriment. Like, there's some good things about it. I understand, like, it's easier to call your wife or girlfriend, whoever. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think you miss out. You miss out on some.
Yeah. I remember, that year, my last year that I played, we were in Columbus. I think I've said this, but I remember asking Doug Waite why, because we were such a close-knit team, and it was kind of before charters and your single rooms, and that's what Dougie said, is because most of the time we were still flying commercial a lot, and we were staying over in places. So it was after games, all guys would go out for dinner and hang out more, and I just probably you don't get that as much anymore.
Yeah.
With,
Big difference.
bringing teams close together. It was always there was always a sense of enjoyment going on a road trip with guys because you knew you were going to hang out and
Yeah.
laugh and have a good time and play hockey, right? So yeah, it was fun. It was a great team.
Speaking of coming together, that's the other one I wanted to get to because you came in after they'd already won a couple cups, right, Craig?
Yes.
So was it an easy group to fit in with, or because I would assume they've already, they've been
the
through so much
easiest.
together, like very easy to slide in there? Or what?
Very, yeah. They didn't know to the extent they had winning figured out, but they had it figured out. Kevin was unbelievable. Just a great teammate and leader. Mark and Wayne, where everybody was. I mean, the nice thing about playing on that team is you could get rid of bad guys quickly. And if you came in there and didn't fit in, and you had every opportunity to fit in,
See you later.
and why wouldn't you want to fit in? Because you were going to win.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah, you want
so
to be a
they
part
had
of that
great
group.
success. Glenn had great success bringing in guys like Kent Nielsen, who, they all conformed to a team style play because you had to, and because all the stars were, and the best players were your best examples. They loved to practice, and it was very easy to integrate.
We got a couple of things we need to get to here, and then a few more things that I want to discuss. One's our Popeyes chicken poll question. Try Popeyes legendary Louisiana chicken today. The Sedins had their retirement ceremony the retiring of the jerseys last night. Our question today is: are the Sedin twins first ballot Hall of Famers? Cass, let's start with you, buddy. What do you think? I think most people think they're going in, but are they going in together on the first ballot?
I don't know if they go in together on the first ballot. Yeah, it's a tough one because they're on the cusp of like they should be Hall of Famers. Or they could be Hall of Famers. You could have a good discussion about it. But would I have them voted? I'm trying to think of who will they be going against.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't have that list in front of me. I should have come up with that.
I'd have to see the list.
It'll still be a little while before they're
still be a little bit. I'd have to see the list. I would probably say they're going to be like second or third.
Yeah.
Not necessarily first.
Wait a little bit and get them in. Mac T, what do you think?
Yeah, I wonder if they're a package.
Yeah,
You know,
They gotta be.
Gotta be, right? Can you imagine splitting the Sedins up to put them in the hall?
They're finally split up.
That would be
who
wild.
was the better player? It was.
Well, you tell us.
It's hard to tell.
I would always lean towards Daniel because he was the
Daniel
finisher,
was
right?
a scorer.
Yeah.
But didn't Henrik have more points?
Henrik, I think overall probably, because he was an assist machine, wasn't he? Let's take a
They
quick look
both
here.
were. I mean, they were. I mean, they
pretty good.
They killed us for years.
Oh, yeah.
Years.
And they
And
did
then
it
it was-
without blistering speed too, right? Just
Yeah.
Oh, they're just smart.
Henrik had 1,070 points, and Daniel had. I think Henrik probably ended up having more points. Daniel, 1,041. So he had 29 more points than his
Yeah.
brother.
I mean, they're both in that 1,000-point
Yeah,
range, though. So.
1,000-point
Yeah.
guys, but they played like 1,300 games, right? So they weren't point per game guys, but they did it for so long, so unique. Gager, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe not first, but
Okay.
I think they go in together. It's
Hernan,
just,
what's the poll question say?
you can't split them up.
Yeah, right now leading the way is yes at 52%.
Oh, so it's tight.
close.
Yeah, so it's a really tight one. All right, so there's your
Amazing people too. I mean, I know that's a part of it with a Hall of Fame and your overall body of work and as your personality and character. And those guys are Brian Burke. I mean, what a deal that ended up
to
being.
pull that off. Yeah,
To pull that off, and it took him a while. Like I remember when Hork signed his big contract. Like they were at a similar level, the Sedins and Hork, because I remember Hork saying, "Well, I'm not taking anything less than what the Sedins are making," and then they just went.
yeah, they took off.
Just took off, but it took them a while.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's not like they burst onto the scene and lit things up as
It took
rookies,
them a
right?
little while.
Yeah, it did
But
take them a
man,
little
they
while.
were.
Like in their, actually, I didn't remember it took them this long. First 3 years, 34, 32, 31 points. So Daniel
Yeah.
Sedin had 30 points a year for his first 3 years.
Yeah.
And still ended up becoming the players that they were, right?
Yeah.
I was talking
And
with
it was
Strudwick
right off
today.
the
Said they
heels
came in
of-
and they
yeah.
were chubby. Said they had to drop about 15 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get some speed. Well, they did it, and that's how you develop at this level.
Definitely
you
worked
find a
out.
way to adapt.
All right, let's play Keep It or Clip It for Sports Clip Haircuts. Craig will get you to play with this here. Basically, I just make a statement. If you agree with it, you keep it. If you don't agree with it, you clip it. Cass, here we go. A woman saying she wants nothing for Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow. Some Valentine's Day questions here. I'm mostly looking for advice at this point. A woman saying she wants nothing for Valentine's Day is a complete lie.
Keep it.
Keep it?
Absolutely, they want
You don't
something.
think so?
Even if it's something really small that's like handmade or you write a little something on a Post-it note, they want something.
You think you can get away with writing something on a Post-it note for
I
Valentine's Day?
can't.
No, okay. I was going to say, who in the world can get away with that? Here's a
I'm
Post-it
just
note that
saying,
says
like,
I
if
love you.
they're- If they're like,
I was just thinking what a good idea that was.
I don't think it's a bad idea at all. It depends on the personality. Like that would be, my wife would love. She loves that, but it would be like, what else? So you did that.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much. That means the world.
Now, where's the real present?
What else?
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't need like a new purse or anything. She wouldn't want anything like that. It's more about like, what did you plan? Like, were you thinking
Yeah.
of me? But yeah, they say they want nothing.
Not true.
Not true.
Back to you. What do you think? Keeping it or clipping
Clip it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my oldest boy was born on Valentine's Day, so we celebrate that. My wife thinks it's a hokey holiday, but she loves the birthday.
She loves it. Yeah. Gager, what do you think?
Oh, I got to come up with something special tomorrow.
Yeah,
so-
that's right. You're
Yeah,
in tough
it's,
right now.
I got to. I'm taking suggestions. So if anyone wants to write in what I should do tomorrow, I'm thinking a parade.
That would be great, buddy. All right, Leon Draisaitl is now the Hart Trophy favorite with McDavid out. Keep it or clip it. What do you got, Cass?
This is so much depends on how he does the next 3 or 4 games.
It's true, but he's leading the league in scoring by 8 on Connor and 11 on Kucherov, who's hurt right now.
Yeah,
We were talking about
Still
last week,
the-
right? We
the
were
Hart Trophy.
leaning McKinnon.
I'm still leaning McKinnon.
Okay, you're still looking
I'm
at
going to clip
McKinnon.
it. I'm still leaning McKinnon. I not that Leon doesn't deserve it, but people will still look at that he was with Connor McDavid for a majority of the season, and Connor's going to get some votes that Leon maybe should get, and vice versa. So I don't think he's a front runner.
Mac, I think Draisaitl was one of your picks, right? You were GM when you guys took
Right.
Draisaitl. Did you
Yeah.
think he was going to become a Hart Trophy guy? Like, did you see that?
You never know.
Yeah, like that's an elite
Anybody
level
that
guy,
says,
right?
Yeah, I knew he was going to be the MVP of the league. You knew that with Connor, but you didn't necessarily know that with Leon. But I would say he's off to a good start without Connor. I was at the game the other night. He played. He's a fantastic player, but what he does in Connor's absence will really frame that
It'll
question
determine it
better.
for sure, yeah,
So
'cause-
I'd say neither.
Yeah. All right, Gager, what do you got?
I clip it after watching Markstrom.
Yeah, you're gonna,
Yeah.
He's taken. I've removed my vote from McKinnon. So he's
49 save shutout last night.
and he's meant so much to that team. They've been doing well, and he's a huge part of that
Franchise record
Yeah.
for saves in a shutout. Like, he was phenomenal last night against Chicago. All right, getting someone a gift certificate for Valentine's Day is unacceptable. Cass, what do you think?
I'm going to keep that one.
Yeah, you got to go with a present, right? Like,
You got to do something.
yeah.
Get like my buddy's shop here in Edmonton. They sold out of them, but they did like heart-shaped donuts.
And they're already sold out?
Yeah, they had to pre-order them,
Yeah.
and they sold out in like half a day.
Heart-shaped
Heart-shaped
donuts.
donuts.
I like the Cookies by George Valentine's Day box.
Yeah, it's something like
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah,
do
it's
something
good.
like that.
Yeah.
Not the gift.
I mean, if anybody's looking to get me something for Valentine's Day, the Cookies by George Valentine's box. Mac T, what do you think about
Clip
gift certificate? Yeah, no chance.
No.
Gager, you're going to
You
need
can
to
do
do better than this.
Yeah, honey, I won't get you a gift card, I promise. But it depends if they're into something. Like if it's like they really like the keg or something like that. I could see a gift card meaning something. It's not just a
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just take them there?
good point, sir.
Because then you have to go.
I guess if it's for like a girls' night, maybe or something.
Oh, yeah, something like that. All right, all three of Ovi, Matthews, and Pasternak, who hit 41 with a hat trick last night, all three of those guys will get 50 goals this season. Gager, let's start with you. Go the other way.
I'll keep it. I think they all hit 50.
They're all within range for sure, right? Yeah.
Keep it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, keep it.
Back to you. What do you think about Ovi doing what he's doing at this age, this deep into his career?
Amazing. I mean, he really has turned himself into a much better playmaker, and I think that manifests itself in a lot more opportunities for him because he keeps plays alive more than he did earlier on in his career. You never know how much he's going to slow down over the next little while. I still think it's a tremendous long shot that he catches, Wayne, but he's threatening.
Yeah, he's keeping pace, which
Yeah.
everybody's kind of waiting. Like, when's he going to become a 35-goal guy regularly? And now he does that by February. It's insane.
So would that be exciting for you if he gets a little bit closer just to watch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember the one goal. Remember that goal he scored against Phoenix? where
On
he
his back.
Kind of
Yeah.
dislocated his shoulder to score it. Like, I was like...
That was on Cujo too, wasn't it?
I came right out of my seat at home on the. It was unreal, but yeah, he's got his sights set on it now for sure. Backstrom's a pretty good compliment.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's got a ton of assists on Ovechkin goals. All right, having a heart-shaped pizza for dinner on Valentine's Day is romantic. Keep it or clip it.
I'm looking for advice, so
Clip it.
Clip it?
Yeah,
No more romantic than regular pizza?
I think that's maybe a little.
Oh, she really likes pizza. I'm gonna keep it.
You're gonna keep it?
Depends on what you like.
I think we're taking the kids for heart-shaped pizza for lunch
There
tomorrow.
you go. Like, yeah, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're
that's
2 and 4. They'll think it's the coolest
Yeah.
thing ever. So
That's great.
It should
depends
be
what's
good.
on it, I guess. I'll keep
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
All right, here's a little bit of a fun one to wrap up this part. A Canadian team will make the Stanley Cup final this year, likely through the West, I would think. But Cass, what are you going with? Keep it or clip it? I know what Markstrom boy's going with over here, so it's up to you, Cass.
Yeah. This is a.
Colorado has almost caught St. Louis.
I know. Colorado
Yeah.
was my pick at the start of the year.
Well, stick with them, buddy.
I gotta stick with them. I
you
don't think
clip
so.
it?
No, I'm gonna clip it. I think Colorado. There's too much there.
It's a good question, though, because there's so many teams that are in the mix this year, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah?
It's gonna come from the West too. I think.
Yeah, there's, 4 really good Canadian. Well, not
Yeah.
real. 4 good Canadian teams right now, especially Winnipeg getting their act together. Gager, where are you going?
I'm going to agree with Coach.
Yeah?
Hopefully at the next alumni skate or alumni kind of game, he keeps me in there. So.
He's even pulling you in alumni
You're all
games.
we got.
Yeah, so
Craig, thanks for coming. But before I let you go, you did dabble with the media and TSN and stuff. And did you like that? Did you like the TV stuff? Do you wish you might have dove into that a little bit more, or were you always just want to get back into hockey?
I was good with it at the time.
Yeah.
It worked out well. I was going to school at the time, so it meshed well. I could do my studies and go
Pop
on
in
TV,
and do the panel
pop in
and stuff.
do the panel, and I'll say the people at TSN are unbelievable. Stevie Dryden is one of my friends, good friends to this day. James Duffy was unreal to work with. He always had a lifeline for guys like me that would start stammering away from time to time. He'd be right there with the lifeline. Darren Drager's a good friend too. Bob McKenzie as well. Great people. So it was a great experience.
But you're happy that you closed the door on that career when you did. Yeah. Hey, well, if you ever want to be on a podcast again, I think we got a place for you. So
appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
that MBA to work out here.
That's right.
Try and get followers for the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Hernan, do you have any suggestions for a name? Should we just go with what do you think?
There's a few. You're not sitting here with. You're sitting here with us when Mac T.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mac T, you're sitting here with us.
When Mac T went to Gager, you're not staying, are you? And then there also Mac T. He's been in a lot of places.
What do you want to go with, boys? What are you thinking?
We let him pick.
Yeah, Mac T, what do you want the episode to be called? What are you thinking?
He's been in a lot of places.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There you go.
All right, perfect. So there we go. That'll be episode 39. He's been in a lot of places. Craig, thanks a lot for coming by, man. That's awesome.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
For Craig
Thanks,
MacTavish
boys.
and Hernan Salas and Matt Cassian and Walking Gage and our presenting sponsor, oddshark.com, and, of course, Popeyes Chicken and Sport Clip Haircuts, home of the MVP experience. I'm Dustin Nielsen. We will be back next Thursday. It's a holiday Monday, so we'll be back next Thursday with episode 40 of Two Guys and a Goalie.